I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Senator Ron Johnson questioned witnesses about drones during Thursday's Senate Homeland Security Committee hearing. Johnson argued that the Preventing Emerging Threats Act of 2018 does too little to deal with the threat of drones. The act allowed DHS and the DOJ to, quote, authorize their personnel to act to mitigate the threat that unmanned aircraft, i.e. drones, poses to the safety or security of facilities or assets through a risk-based assessment. Johnson describes drones as, quote, a serious threat. Take a listen as the Wisconsin Republican explains.
Senator Johnson, you're recognized for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 5 years ago when we were drafting and passing the Preventing Emerging Threats Act of 2018, we obviously understood the threat the drones pose to this nation, the very serious threat. I was very frustrated at the time that we couldn't offer greater authority. I have to admit here, 5 years later, I'm enormously frustrated that we haven't made greater progress, and that we're still taking what I would consider baby steps when, to me, it's out of control. 2,000 sightings around airports, 69 evasive actions. But let's get down the brass tacks here. Let's find out what our capabilities are. Have we, under the current authorities, have we actually brought down drones around the types of events the DHS can counter?
Senator, DHS has engaged in detection and mitigation of drones in and around, concurrent with the authorities.
So we have taken down drones. Have we advanced our technology in 5 years?
We have certainly advanced our technology in 5 years, yes, sir.
Do we have the capability right now to prevent drones from entering restricted airspace around an airport?
Currently, DHS assesses that TSA could respond to an emergency in and around an airport. What we are seeking in the legislation is the ability for TSA to proactively and persistently protect.
I'm asking what is our capability right now, if you have the authority. And I first have to find out who has the authority to establish a restricted airspace around an airport, around a stadium, around power plants. Who has that authority?
The FAA, sir.
The FAA. Have we established that restricted airspace?
We work with our federal partners as well as our non-federal stakeholders when requested.
Is the airspace around an airport restricted to drone use right now?
Yes.
All airports?
Yes.
Do we have the capability of knocking down drones if they enter that restricted airspace? Do we have that capability? Maybe not the authority, do we have the capability technologically?
Technologically, yes. We have the ability to mitigate malicious drone threats.
So shouldn't this legislation, at a minimum, grant you the authority so we can almost immediately start knocking down drones when they enter that restricted airspace around airports?
Senator, DHS is deeply supportive of TSA getting the authority to mitigate drones around airports.
So now let's just start expanding it, because to me that'd be the #1 priority. Mr. Wegman, there's no constitutional right to have a drone, correct?
No.
You've mentioned civil liberties. What civil liberty issues are contemplated if we're knocking down drones entering a restricted airspace?
Well, we would want to do so responsibly, only when it posed a threat.
Sure, we don't want to knock them down and create a greater problem, but I mean, there'd be no civil liberties issues if we establish restricted airspace and somebody flies in a drone, they got no civil liberties to worry about. We're going to knock down that drone safely if we can.
I agree, Senator. I don't think that presents a civil liberties issue.
I couldn't quite understand.
I agree with you, Senator. I don't think it poses a risk.
So
when a drone is flying restricted airspace, to interdict that drone is not a civil liberties issue, in my view.
So in the proposal the administration gave us, have we contemplated the priorities of establishing restricted airspace and granting the authority to be knocking down drones when they enter restricted airspace? For example, I'm contemplating around a stadium on game day. Establish that temporary as restricted airspace so that state and local authorities, working with DHS, have the ability to knock those drones down, take them out of the skies before they pose a threat.
We have that authority now, Senator. That's what we're asking to extend. But yes, we want.
Have we knocked down any drones around stadiums?
When we say knock down, yes, we've disabled them. We've required them to divert and land, or we've interdicted them. Yes, we have at a number of events. As I mentioned in my opening testimony, we have done that. Yes.
Okay. Well, again, my main point here is we've got to move faster, and it's great to have pilot programs. But that's 5, 6 years in the future. Trust me, the public is going to demand that we act a whole lot quicker if a commercial aircraft hits a drone that's entered the restricted airspace. So I want to make sure in this piece of legislation, we've got that authority, and then the funding and the personnel to start protecting our restricted airspace as soon as possible. Is there anything that's going to prevent that from happening in this piece of legislation?
That's why we're here, Senator. We agree with you, and we are seeking the authority to do just that.
But again, I'm a little concerned about a pilot program that's going to work with 12 state and local and tribal.
It's going to take some time.
I mean, that's a pretty slow rollout, isn't it?
It's going to take some time to ramp up, but it's 12 every year. It takes some time to do the training, to get up and make sure they're doing this and know how to do it and get the technology and so forth. It's going to be, they will be able to do multiple missions, and over time, we think that's
my point is we've already taken 5 years, which I find enormously frustrating. And sure, it takes time, but we can ensure that it takes less time if we prioritize as a serious threat and we establish this as a priority for putting more personnel to make sure it takes less time. You understand what I'm saying? So I think 12 pilot programs a year is completely too little, and I'm hoping it won't be too late. So let's look at this piece of legislation. Let's start ramping it up, okay? I mean, we spend trillions of dollars in the federal government. We ought to focus on this because this is a serious threat. And again, I don't want to have it be too little, and I certainly don't want us to be too late on this. Okay, and Mr. Chairman, again, I appreciate you pushing this. I want to work with you to strengthen this. I don't think this is strong enough yet. Let's not have a piece of legislation that's too little, too late. The bill we passed 5 years ago was too little. Fortunately, it hasn't been too late yet. Let's make sure we do a good job on this one.
Absolutely, Senator, and we look forward to working with you. Appreciate your continued leadership on this issue, and we'll make it as strong as we possibly can. We appreciate that. Thank you, Senator Johnson. Senator Hawley, you're recognized for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to the witnesses for being here. Ms. Vinograd, if I